It's Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Well, what a miracle we witnessed today on Wall Street. Earlier this morning, Dow Jones was down over 400 points. It closed in the green today based on absolutely nothing, no fundamentals. Think about this, down over 400 points, closes in the green, nearly 10 points. NASDAQ, pretty flat today, but the NASDAQ was down over 200 points earlier today and almost finished in the green. 10-year bond yield sitting at 3.45%. We are now on day 4,000 of market miracles. 4,000 days of miracles taking place in these markets. Now, somebody please explain to me what happened today. Was it the plunge protection team? Is it the Fed buying bonds? Is it the Fed buying stocks? I think the Fed's buying it all right now. And I think that there's no doubt a private balance sheet that none of us see, because the one that they're doing the quantitative tightening with, we're not seeing what they're buying right now. While they're raising rates, they are purchasing bonds, they are purchasing stocks. There is so much manipulation going on. I think literally a nuke could go off on Wall Street and the market would be up tomorrow. I really do. This is how manipulated and controlled this is. And we are witnessing this super bubble getting bigger and bigger. And I hope that all of you are paying attention to this. So many of you, when I read the comments, when I read other articles in some of these media outlets, people just are not believing what is taking place in these markets. And people are going to be dumb enough to jump in and buy these dips when I believe wholeheartedly that the Fed is playing an enormous role here, buying into these markets, buying bonds, and really continuing to allow this super bubble to run. And this bubble is going to burst, ladies and gentlemen, and it is going to be absolutely catastrophic when it does. You know, we're at a time where there really is no market. It's just buy the dip and let the Fed continue to buy everything and just hope for the best, that this is going to go on forever. It cannot. It's absolutely impossible, 100% unsustainable. If you believe that the Fed can continue to do this for years to come, we are winding down. Things are going to burst. It's going to get extremely ugly. And unfortunately, the average person is going to pay the price here for what the Fed has done and what the Fed is currently doing, in my opinion, right now. Goldman Sachs says 4 U.S. cities will suffer a 2008 crash in home sales. Now, I was watching an interview on Fox Business this morning, and they had a gentleman on, I forgot his name, but they pointed out San Jose, California, San Diego, California, Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. And he believes that things are going to slow down, but at the same time, they're going to pick up, kind of just contradicting himself. But if you believe that it's only going to be 4 cities in America that are going to suffer a crash in home sales, I mean, think about this. They're trying to really, in my opinion, fool people, trick people, tell you it's not going to be as bad as you think. So in fact, it's not even going to be in your area. This crash is not even going to affect where you live. It's going to affect San Jose, San Diego, Austin, Texas, and Phoenix, Arizona. Those are going to be the worst ones. Other than that, the rest of the country is going to be okay. Maybe a minor correction, but nothing too severe. And they're saying in these 4 cities, we will see a 25% crash in prices. Here's a news flash. We're going to see prices collapse much more than 25% in these areas. And if you think that the crash is only going to affect these 4 areas, you are sadly mistaken. I believe that some areas are going to do better than others, of course, but I think for a majority of this country, real estate is going to be absolutely smashed. And to think that San Diego, Austin, Phoenix, these areas are only going to come down 25%, we're already seeing new home sales. Builders already discounting 10 to 20%. They were already discounting 10 to 20% in December from a year prior. So this is going to be much, much worse than they're telling you. But I like how they're just softening the blow, just, you know, massaging you, relaxing you. It's not going to be that bad. Maybe your area only comes down 5, maybe 10%, but the brunt of the blow, the 25%, is just going to be in these 4 cities. And it's, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be much worse than 25% in these cities that they're telling us. But it's going to be much worse in many areas across America, without a doubt. But I like how they're just kind of easing us, relaxing us, calming us down. Nothing to worry about, nothing to be afraid of, and nothing to prepare for. You should just go buy a house today, right? Here's another article today coming from CNBC, very concerning, and it's really contradicting all the good news we're hearing about the housing market. Americans are short on emergency savings amid dangerous scenario for economy. Now, in this article, SecureSave.com says a new survey finds 74% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck. 74%, that's 3/4 of Americans. 3/4 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 67% cannot afford to pay for a $400 emergency. And we now have a savings rate of around 2.2% here in the United States of America. 57% unable to afford a $1,000 expense. That's according to bankrate.com. So when people have an emergency, what do they turn to? They're going to turn to a credit card at 19 to 29%. And they're going to drown deeper and deeper into debt. And Ms. Orman here is talking about the importance of having an emergency fund in the good times and the bad times, because as most of us know, good times only last for so long, and before you know it, it's the bad times. And you're one emergency away from being bankrupt, one emergency away from being a debt slave, one emergency away for some people being homeless. So it's so important right now, if you can, to start stacking some cash, putting some cash away. Should have been doing this for years, ladies and gentlemen. But again, 74% of Americans now living paycheck to paycheck. How in the world can we even have a housing market when 3/4 of this nation are living paycheck to paycheck and 67% cannot afford a $400 emergency? That's nearly 70% of this country doesn't have $400 in cash put away. They've got to turn to a credit card. Who's buying these houses that they're telling us? Who's applying for these mortgage applications when 3/4 of the country is living paycheck to paycheck and nearly 70% don't even have $400 saved up, and we have a savings rate of 2.2%? Who in the world is applying for a mortgage right now? Who in the world can afford a house right now? This is absolutely shocking, some of this data, some of these numbers, and yet there's people on the television saying, hey, it's only going to be 4 cities that feel the real estate crash. More than likely your area is going to be fine, maybe a slight correction. Don't worry about it. Just go out and spend more money. Maybe it's a good day to buy a house. This is so dangerous, what some of these people are telling us and how they are manipulating the data. And there are good people out there that are believing this data and taking this data and making life-altering decisions that are going to affect their future, that's going to affect their bank accounts. Really dangerous stuff. Now, I want to talk about another article here, and this is coming from Fox, actually NBC, but it's Fox News meteorologist Adam Klotz attacked on New York subway after stopping teens from assaulting an older man. Now, I was watching this interview today, and the weatherman, Adam Klotz, said that these kids were harassing this old man and then lit his hair on fire. And that's when he intervened. And at that point, these teenagers turned on him and started giving him a beatdown. And he said that these kids just kept harassing this old man. And he said nobody was doing anything about it. And then when he stood up and intervened and these kids were attacking him, nobody stepped in to help him. He was on his own with a handful of kids, 15 to 17, punching and kicking him. And he said when they stopped, somebody came to his aid to help him, called police. They came back and they began to harass him again and threaten him again. And he was asking, on the show today, Why am I the person here intervening and stepping in? Where is law enforcement? Where is help? Where are the professionals? Why is a weatherman having to step in here? And he had 2 black eyes, a swollen jaw, could have been much, much worse. And I bring this up because, first off, these kids were not even arrested. They were questioned by police and just let go. And this is 1:30 in the morning when this began, and you have 15 to 17-year-old kids on the subway, unattended. Where are their parents? I have no idea. But the cops didn't even arrest them, didn't even take them home. Nothing. Just let them go. And I bring this up because, again, when I read stuff like this, and there was a horrific story that happened to a young lady in Louisiana. I'm not even going to talk about that one, but we are living in a real evil society. Many of you probably saw what happened to this girl. I believe she was from, she went to LSU. Brutal what happened to her. But again, it's another example of knowing your environment, your surroundings, using situational awareness. But when I read articles like this, when I watch interviews like this with the weatherman, I just ask myself, what is this going to look like 6 months, 9 months, a year from now as this economy continues to collapse? Tesla earnings better than expected. So I guess tomorrow the markets will respond and go crazy and surge over the Tesla news, looking for anything. The algorithms are looking for any type of good news to go up because there are absolutely no fundamentals in these markets. But we do know that fundamentally the economy is crashing. And it's been crashing for years. And as it does, we're going to see more crime. And just the evilness and how sadistic these people are, lighting an old man's hair on fire, and just to harass an old man on a subway to begin with, if that's not bad enough, lighting people on fire, it's just unbelievable. And again, when you watch this stuff, when you read about it, you ask, what is this going to look like when it really gets bad? What's it look like when people begin to not be able to get food? When the government subsidies isn't enough to buy food, what does this look like? It's going to get ugly, ladies and gentlemen. It's ugly right now. We have some very, very sadistic people out there that really don't care about taking human life. They have no respect for law enforcement. They have no respect for human life. They have no respect for law. They have no respect for you. So as I leave you today, please exercise situational awareness. If things don't look good, maybe you don't, get on that train. Maybe you just get off the sidewalk and walk across the street. If you see a group of people that just doesn't look good or right, if you got a bad feeling, go with your gut. Just avoid confrontation at all costs. And as we've talked about, please go. You can go to my Facebook page. We just put a video up doing a little bit of training at the range, a little bit of training at the studio. So you can go to that, check that out. Nugget. You can check that out. But I really, really recommend that you are really getting a skill set, that you're doing something that if you come into a situation, you're able to avoid it, or if push comes to shove, you're able to deal with it. And if you're not getting in a mental mindset, if you're not training for a situation like this, what are you going to do if you're accosted or somebody is willing to use force against you? What will you do? You have to ask yourself this. This is not, this is not comfortable for a lot of people. It's scary, but it is happening every day to people. The violence out there is getting absolutely out of control. And you can't just ignore it, because you could be out at a store, a restaurant, at a mall, on a subway. You could be just walking down a street and something can happen just like that. And it's too late, because you have no idea what to do. You have no idea how to deal with force. You have no idea how to get away. You have no idea how to fight. So what are you going to do? You will be a victim. That's what you will do. You will be a victim. And there's a lot of people out there that talk like big shots, a lot of people out there that walk around with all the answers, but these people have no idea what to do when the lights go out, because they don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have assets, they don't have training, they don't have a mental mindset. They've not challenged themselves right now while the times are good for the times that are coming, that are going to be very, very bad and extremely challenging. And if you haven't been challenging yourself, if you're not challenging yourself right now, how will you meet and overcome the challenges that you're going to get tomorrow? Because they're coming. How are you going to deal with evil people if you're not dealing with force right now? Think about these things. It's scary for a lot of people. I understand that. But you've got to get uncomfortable right now, because very uncomfortable times are coming. And that means you may have to get uncomfortable financially, spiritually, and physically. And that's what we need to do right now, because we are about to come into some very, very uncomfortable times. And we're going to deal with some very, very evil people that have very, very evil intentions. And if you're not getting ready for that right now, ladies and gentlemen, you will be a victim. You will be a statistic. Don't let this happen to you. Get ready right now. You can do something about it right now. God bless all of you. Have a great day. Please share these videos, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.